Most deactivated weapons in Finland remain unreported to police despite deadline. Gold prices reach new record high amidst U.S. economic developments. Trump's rise in U.S. presidential race raises concerns for global trade. New deportation law in Finland creates dilemma for border guards. The majority of deactivated weapons in Finland have not been reported to the police, even though the legal deadline passed on Monday. These weapons, known as decos, are firearms that have been rendered non-functional and are often kept as memorabilia. Since 2019, owners are required to notify the police about these weapons, including any transfers of ownership. So far, approximately 10,000 to 12,000 reports have been filed out of a total of 30,000 to 40,000 decos in Finland. The requirement aims to prevent these weapons from being made functional again, which can be done with simple tools, especially for weapons deactivated decades ago. The law was tightened following terrorist attacks in Europe. Although the deadline has passed, owners can still report their weapons without penalty if they do so promptly. As gold prices soared to a new record on Tuesday, surpassing $2,463 per ounce, this was driven by slowing inflation in the U.S. and expectations of lower interest rates, as well as Donald Trump's strengthened position in the U.S. presidential race. The previous record was set in May at over $2,450 per ounce. Geopolitical tensions and market uncertainty often drive up gold prices, as it is considered a safe haven in turbulent times. Gold typically attracts investors when interest rates are expected to fall. According to the Financial Times, gold prices have increased by 50% since the end of 2022, and J.P. Morgan Chase predicts that gold will exceed $2,500 per ounce by the end of this year. Donald Trump is gaining strength in the U.S. presidential race, raising concerns about new disruptions in global trade. Trump has threatened to impose a 10% tariff on all imports, which would pose challenges for Finnish companies exporting to the U.S. Currently, the U.S. is Finland's most important export partner. These tariffs would not only impact Finnish businesses but also increase costs for American consumers, with middle-class families expected to pay an additional $1,700 annually. Despite this, Trump may still implement this policy to protect domestic jobs, according to Jan von Gerich, a Nordea analyst. Heidi Schaman from Danske Bank also believes that Trump might implement the policy but in a limited way. Trump and his opponent Joe Biden have different views on green transition. Biden has pushed for large support packages for this sector, while Trump has promised to repeal Biden's environmental laws if elected. Trump's rise has caused significant declines in the stock prices of the European wind industry. A new deportation law in Finland creates a dilemma for border guards, forcing them to choose between complying with EU law or national law. The law, effective from Monday, aims to prevent asylum applications at the eastern border, except in special cases such as children and the disabled. However, international law and constitutional experts argue that the law clearly conflicts with EU regulations and Finland's immigration laws. Professor Päivi Leino-Sandberg from the University of Helsinki states that this places border guards in an untenable position, having to choose between conflicting laws. Although the law is only applied with a specific government decision, training for border guards has begun. The Finnish government hopes not to use the law but is preparing for the worst-case scenario. Police suspect MP Timo Vornanen of multiple offenses, including 2 charges of illegal threats. Vornanen is suspected of firing a shot into the ground and pointing a gun at 2 people outside the Iku restaurant in Helsinki in April. Police also found 2 unlicensed air guns at his home. Vornanen admitted to bringing a gun into his parliamentary office twice. He faces charges of endangerment, illegal threats, and violating gun ownership laws. Vornanen claimed he felt threatened by organized crime, but the police deny this. Gibril Massaquoi, acquitted of war crimes in Liberia, will receive substantial compensation from the Finnish state. According to the state treasury's decision, Massaquoi will receive approximately €390,000 to compensate for lost freedom and income. Compensation for suffering amounts to over €280,000. Massaquoi was detained for 709 days and will receive €400 per day, significantly higher than the average €120 per day in Finland. Previously, the highest compensation was awarded to Anneli Auer at €800 per day. Massaquoi initially demanded a total of €815,000, but this was not fully accepted. The decision is final, but Massaquoi can sue the state in court. Fixed electricity prices have significantly decreased since early summer. According to futures contracts, this trend is likely to continue. The average fixed electricity price is around 9 cents per kilowatt-hour, with the lowest at 8 cents and the highest at 11 cents. Flexible electricity contracts, which combine fixed and market prices, are being offered at attractive rates between 7.49 and 8.20 cents per kilowatt-hour. However, consumers need to be mindful of how electricity usage at different times impacts costs. Forecasts suggest that electricity prices may remain at a few cents per kilowatt-hour throughout the summer and fall, and around 6 cents per kilowatt-hour by December. Finnish tech company Kuva Space will soon launch the first satellite in its constellation into orbit. This small satellite is equipped with a hyperspectral camera, providing new information about environmental changes. The VTT Research Center has been developing this technology since the 1990s. Now, technological advances allow hyperspectral cameras to be sent into space, capturing highly accurate images of the density and changes in various materials. Kuva Space plans to launch around 100 satellites in the coming years to capture daily images of the entire Earth. With about 40 satellites, they can photograph every place on Earth every day. This goal is expected to be achieved by 2027. Hyperspectral image data have numerous applications, such as monitoring crops, forest health, and coastal water quality. Kuva Space focuses on 3 customer groups: agriculture, voluntary carbon markets, and security. Military organizations and NATO have also shown interest in this data. Data from these satellites will be sold to customers, but there will also be public projects in the future. A study by Aalto University shows that the lack of greenery and vegetation can make urban areas extremely hot. Researcher Paula-Kaisa Lipanen from Aalto University measured the height of birch trees in Oulankylä, Helsinki. The results indicate that the amount of greenery in Helsinki has decreased by about 15% from the 1970s to the early 2010s. This deficit leads to higher summer temperatures and an increased risk of flooding from heavy rain. Greenery not only helps cool the environment but also acts as a natural drainage system. Researchers emphasize the crucial benefits of greenery and vegetation for the local climate. After more than 40 years in operation, the last locally owned traditional shoe store in Rovaniemi, Havikan Kenkä KY, will officially close in August. Store owner Tapani Haviko, who has worked tirelessly for 43 years, says sales are no longer sufficient to sustain the business. He planned to continue working until retirement in the next 2 years, but declining sales forced him to close. Haviko intends to register as unemployed and find a way to survive until retirement age. The store has started a clearance sale and hopes to sell all shoes by the end of August. The closure of Havikan Kenkä KY results from changing shopping habits, with many consumers shifting to supermarkets and online shopping. In reindeer herding families, children often practice cutting orange peels to prepare for marking reindeer ears before doing it for real. This spring, sisters Anna Frida and Berit Ingermaria Vars had the opportunity to cut the ears of newborn reindeer for the first time. Reindeer calves are marked by cutting their ears to create unique signs of ownership. This helps differentiate between reindeer owned by different individuals. Anna Frida and Berit Ingermaria have practiced ear marking on orange peels for years to steady their hands. Under their father's guidance, the girls learn how to hold a knife and the reindeer's ear. Initially, it was challenging, but after successfully marking one reindeer, they wanted to continue. This marking helps establish ownership and does not cause significant pain to the reindeer, though it may cause short-term discomfort. Social media has circulated alarming information about tampons containing dangerous heavy metals. In reality, the amount of metal in tampons is very small and not harmful to health, according to emeritus professor and toxicologist Jouko Tuomisto. Tuomisto states that studies show tampons sold in the EU and the US contain heavy metals but at very low levels, not a cause for concern. The amount of heavy metals in tampons is much lower than in daily food. Additionally, heavy metals are unlikely to absorb through the vaginal mucosa into the body. Many media outlets have inaccurately reported this issue. Therefore, readers should be cautious and thoroughly verify scientific information to avoid unnecessary confusion and fear. In the sequel to the hit animated film Inside Out, the emotions of the teenage protagonist Riley continue to be the focus. However, Pixar decided not to include depression in the storyline. Pete Docter, Pixar's chief creative officer, told YLE that depression is a challenging topic to address with the character Joy. Docter emphasized that while depression is a common experience, not everyone goes through it. This led Pixar to focus on more common emotions in adolescence, such as anxiety and embarrassment. Aiming to resonate with as many viewers as possible, Inside Out 2 continues to explore familiar and relatable emotions.